This is a 1986 Toyota Sunrader, 21 feet with a rear dinette, which we have affectionately called Fozzie. Follow Fozzie. Coincidence? Now, this whole thing started because I'm lucky enough to work remotely, and when I realized, you know what I could do? I could work even more remotely. I started looking around to see what's out there, and I ended up landing here. So I started with vans, looked at vans. Vans had a lot of the things that I wanted, a lot of them are pretty cool, and you can drive it like a normal vehicle. But one of the things I never loved about them was where the bed is. Thing I dig about this is the bed is up here, up above the cab, out of the way, separate from the living space, but there when you want to lay on it. Secondly, I tried to look at modern RVs, but all the RVs I looked at were too big. I wanted something small enough that you could actually still park it in a regular parking spot. I didn't want a gigantic traveling penthouse. I just wanted something that could handle all the basics, but still allow me to drive it like a car. This thing actually drives surprisingly small. I'd say all in, it's about the form factor somewhere in the neighborhood of a Ford F-150, because it'll fit in a parking spot, can park it on the road, and it's actually not that difficult to drive. It's way less intimidating than, say, a U-Haul truck. And I know that based on moving here with my wife, who hated driving the U-Haul truck, but is fine driving Fozzie here. Woohoo! Now, obviously, the third thing is cost. Vans are expensive. New RVs, pretty expensive. Just a van shell, just an empty cargo van starts at like $40,000, $50,000, and that's of course before you've done a thing to start with the RV house build out. This, all in, was significantly, let me emphasize, significantly less than that. Now, yes, it's old, but it's a Toyota. And it's a Toyota featuring one of the most bulletproof, long-lasting four-cylinder engines of all time, something called the 22RE. Now, while I consider myself handy adjacent, I can be resourceful, I am not a mechanic. But you know who is? The fellas over at ACC Auto here in Atlanta. This is a shop that specializes in Toyota, Lexus from all eras. And they were nice enough to talk to me after giving Fozzie here the full inspection. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was the engine in this thing, the 22RE.
It's one of the best four cylinders ever built. Its only downfall is that people ran it and no maintenance like they do. And that's what the main downfall of any Toyota truck is lack of maintenance because it doesn't need it. They're a great platform. The 20R, the 22R, the 22RE, all just workhorses.
People will go to the nines playing with those engines, and so there's a lot of aftermarket support. I learned early on that every manufacturer has their own recipe for making a car, and I've worked on everything under the sun and wound up in Toyotas, and they're just the most logical, pragmatic. Their engineering is top notch.
It always has been. Rarely do we see anything in here with an issue. It's almost all modification, make it better, you make it go farther, faster, whatever it may be, or I want to live out of this for 6 months. And it's one of the only vehicles I'd even consider about going overlanding off-grid for long periods of time in, because I know it's going to get me there and back.
Yeah.
They've always been that way.
And I'm fairly confident that engine has been replaced. It being that it's in an RV, it's got the headers, I would imagine that it very likely has an RV style cam, a high output cam, and probably already has the double chain upgrade that everybody does if you ever have one of those motors apart. Because the very first thing that, really the only thing that goes wrong is that chain stretches after, 250,000 miles and it eats a hole through the side of the engine. The double chain helps prevent that.
Lasts about twice as long.
Yeah.
They're really cool. They're just iconic.
I love it. That your Sunrader is incredible and they're just so cool.
Okay, I'm just going to admit, That whole conversation went way better than I thought it would. I was actually pretty afraid I'd get there and they'd be like, bad news, this thing is tied together by chicken wire and bubblegum. Turns out not the case. Obviously it needs some maintenance, but still, even after we get all the maintenance, hey, I just want you to know the running total is still far below what it would have cost to buy an empty van. The other factor is these things are relatively easy to fix. Toyota parts are pretty common, so you can still get this done, which means the service to get it repaired isn't astronomical compared to, say, a Mercedes Sprinter van.
Well, I started out in Mercedes, if that means anything. So they, you get a lot of weird hocus pocus crap in that.
Okay, we talked about the reliability and everything, the 22RE, but one of the things that didn't come up is actually its fuel efficiency. This thing does anywhere from 14 to 18 miles to the gallon, depending on load. And for an RV, that's pretty good. Just to put it in perspective, let's compare this to, say, a Jeep Wrangler. This one's fun, go off-roading, do all kinds of fun things. This one, you could take a nap, take a shower. This one, got it all muddy and you're got the top down. And this one, you're reading on the toilet. Should the mood strike? All of that's possible in a Sunrader. Is it dependable? Yes. Is it fuel efficient? Yes. Is it fast? No.
They're very slow, but they're very dependable.
You're not going to win any races in a Toyota RV. It's just not going to happen. Well, I guess you could pit like one Toyota RV against another Toyota RV and like watch the sparks fly. But outside of that, this will never be victorious in a race. But it's going to get you there. Now, if you want specifics, I'd say this will give you 70 comfortably on a flat plane. Or if you have a tailwind, if you go uphill, it'll give you 60. If you're going up a steep hill, less than that. Less than that. It's not fast. But for my purposes, that's fine, because one of the big outcomes in all of this for me was to do a better job of enjoying the journey. And this actually forces the hand on that a little bit. So it's fine. Now, it's a smaller RV, sure, but one of the things I really like about it is that everything that's in the house is in the house. It's got 3 systems in it, right? It's got a propane system, it's got your basic plumbing system, and it's got an electrical 12 volt and AC if you're plugged into shore power. And in that is everything you need. It's got a 3-way fridge, it's got a full oven, it's got a water heater, a furnace, kitchen sink, and even a bathroom sink. Full shower. It's a small shower, but it's a shower. It's got a black water tank for poo-poo, caca, pee-pee. It's got a gray water tank for anything that comes out of the shower or any of the sinks. There's a million different kinds of systems for these things. Some people might prefer a composting toilet over a black tank. A lot of people might just want like a regular induction stove top just so they can cook on the top versus a full oven. I, for one, kind of like the idea of a full oven because you never know when going to want to cook a frozen pizza out there in the middle of the wilderness. Living with it for a while, I could see that my opinions might change, but for now, I like that everything that's in a house is in the house. So yeah, what do you think? Am I insane for doing it? Let me know in the comments and what you think. I know there's a lot of people that believe in that van life, and I'm sure there's a lot of advantages that I haven't considered. But again, cost. Whoop, Leaf almost got me.
Now it's time for Follow Fozzie Interactive. Comment 1, 2, or 3 to answer the following question. Would you go all in on a vintage Toyota RV?
Full disclosure, this is actually my second foray into one of these era vehicles. Toyota themselves didn't make these RVs. It was secondhand manufacturers who would buy up the trucks and build the RVs. Sunrader is the top of the heap simply because of its simplicity. It's basically 2 fiberglass halves, top, bottom, kaplump, on the back of a pickup truck. One of the great advantages about this is just one seam. Everything else is just one unibody piece. Now, compare that to, say, I don't know, a 1986 Granville. That thing has got seams everywhere, which gives water all the more ways to get in. Also, because the frame of that is built of wood, once the water's in there, it does a whole lot of oh no. And that project expanded way beyond our scope fast. I should have known it was way out of control once we attached a temporary garage to the back of our house. Uh-oh. That one did not end well. We ended up selling at a loss, and I learned a lot in the process. So if you want to learn what not to do, feel free to watch that episode, which should be out soon, if it's not already, depending on the time-space continuum of when you're watching this. Yeah, just be careful. Not all Toyota houses are built the same. So follow along and learn with us. One of the taglines of the channel is, I don't know what I don't know. Because I don't know what I don't know, which is substantial. I don't know what I don't know, which is substantial. And we'll learn some stuff together, some of which you may already know, which will maybe help me to learn. You can laugh at me or learn with me, whichever strikes for the moment. Thanks for, I don't have a clever tagline. Thanks for watching.